Hello and welcome to some more Star Citizen. This is a podcast. It's the 28th of April. There's lots of stuff going on. I'm joined by the lovely Zinnia. Say hello, Zin.
Hello, Zin.
Perfect. We're going to be talking about Star Citizen Alpha 4.1.1. It's on the Open PTU. There's a load more that's constantly going on with this patch, it seems. Fleet Week's coming up real soon. And I did also want to talk to you a little bit about the Vanduul Translation thing that happened, because you brought it up the other day, actually, and then I looked into it and the winners had been chosen. So I just want to talk about some of this stuff. Alpha 4.1.1, that's the sort of hot topic at the moment. That's in all waves, Open PTU now. We're not 100% sure when this is going to be released. It's probably going to be released, in my opinion, by the end of the week. But it could be released for Fleet Week in a couple of weeks. We don't 100% know. But it is ploughing through its Open PTU. And there was a load of new stuff that they've sort of added since the last time we talked. Actually, before we go on to the new stuff that's been added relatively recently, I wanted to talk to you about something we sort of missed out the last couple of weeks. And that's the medigun and pistol slot changes. So you can't have loads and loads of just everything you want around your utility belt anymore. You have to make a choice in some slots. So you've got a sidearm slot. You can either choose to bring a sidearm or the medigun now in that slot. And originally lots of people some people were just totally like, yeah, that's fine. I don't use a sidearm anyway. Medigun's super important. Other people were like, this is awful. Why even do that? What's your thoughts here? Do you think that's a good change? Do you think that's a meh change? Do you like the fact that maybe they're differentiating classes a little with this?
Well, we don't know if they're differentiating classes.
What do you mean?
Because is there a class that allows you to equip both?
Oh, I see what you mean. No. I think what I mean is this a step towards them having soft classes in-game? Because obviously we saw the stuff from CitizenCon, where they went, there's going to be specialist armors, there's going to be actual meaningful choices that you need to make. Is this one of those meaningful choices towards that?
I don't think so.
No?
If you had the choice between a medigun and a pistol, what would you take?
Medigun.
Exactly. And you've still got all your guns.
Well, but I think what you need the sidearms to be interesting and useful, right? And some people are going to be like, I use the sidearm all the time, or yeah, they are useful, you're just using them wrong. Whereas I'd say that the load of the other weapons, including, like, I could have a snipper and an SMG, and I probably wouldn't pull out my pistol. I've not used a pistol in Star Citizen beyond Arena Commander and sort of gun game and stuff like that. And I'm forced to use a pistol. Now, that could be a it's on me thing. Maybe I'm not making the use of other stuff, but I'd certainly much rather have a medigun. I like the idea that you've got to make a bit of a choice between slots. I would like to see maybe the sidearm slot become like a gadget slot for lots of other stuff as well. I just think it's interesting. I think,
because I do actually have an opinion on this.
Yeah, please. I'd
not
love
an opinion,
to hear your opinion.
An idea, not opinion. I think that when they bring out class-specific armor, maybe if you have medic armor, you will be able to equip a pistol and a medigun. But you might not be able to equip bigger guns.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, so it goes, well, actually, your medical stuff is, you've got more room for medicy stuff, and your medicy stuff might work better, but instead of having larger weapons supported with this armor, you only get sidearms. Or something like that.
Yeah, and then there was the armor that we saw in the video, the leader guy.
Yes.
Who was... He could basically smuggle guns. Not big guns. Sidearms. But, if you were to enter an area where you weren't allowed any weapons, he could technically bring in a weapon because he'd hide it in his armor.
Yeah, exactly that. I think sidearms will be important in certain situations. I think that they probably need to do a lot more balance work towards that, and I don't mind, and I quite like the idea that CIG are going, well, yeah, some of these slots are shared. This is being used for medigun and sidearms. Yeah, I think this goes away to allowing them to do soft classes personally, but again, as Zin said, it might not be to do with that. It might just be a different kind of change. That's not related, but I'm interested to know what other people think about this. Do you think people should be? Do you think people have been slighted and are right to feel slighted by this change, or they're like, well, stuff like this is going to change?
feeling slighted by it is a bit extreme. Slightly miffed.
Slightly miffed.
Yeah, maybe.
I do think it's one of the more minor changes that people have seen as a potentially. I think it affects people more that we're using pistols a lot for some reason. But tell us in the comments below if that's affected you heavily or not. But I think most people will bring a medigun, right?
Yeah, most people bring a medigun, or if you really want a pistol, you can bring other medical, injector pens and stuff.
Well, exactly that. You've got a load of other choices for medical equipment, right? Some new missions. New missions were, throughout 4.1.1, we've had loads of missions and mainly combat mission focused sort of missions being updated, new ones appearing with ambush and patrol and loads of stuff like that, the Gillies Gauntlet missions. But they've added, in the more recent patch, added a set of new combat missions as well. And this is actually, training missions and combat missions. And this is more Fleet Week orientated. So there is training missions for newer players. And there's a larger scale event, Hunt the Polaris, that looks like a Polaris has been stolen during Fleet Week from the Navy because they misplace their ships all the time. and quite a lot of Polarises have probably been stolen. So these Polaris hunt missions are sort of going on. And they were testing these over the weekend, which is one of the reasons they probably, the weekend previously, had tested loads of Polarises everywhere for a stress test. Making sure they sort of worked for combat in the most aggressive way they could by forcing everyone to spawn them. So it was a focused stress test. Some of the other stuff they're doing, they have been tweaking military components, sort of balancing them, and getting larger ships, the handling sort of changing to feel like big ships. One of the other cool things I saw was that the larger turrets for ships like the Polaris turret, the size 6 Polaris turret, they're getting sort of like recoil. You might argue, they shouldn't have recoil, it's the future, that all this sort of stuff. But it's actually quite cool. It gives you a tactile feedback that was missing from the Squadron 42 demo they showed at CitizenCon. Do you remember? It sort of felt, those turrets felt far too stabilised, and they weren't like, I want to feel like I'm in a big gun that's dealing big damage. And how do you do that? Well, you have a bit of recoil, you have a bit of tactile feedback. And even if you say, as kind of a joke, when you get into the turret, like someone says in Squadron 42, we had to simulate recoil because otherwise the pilots didn't feel like they were shooting anything, or it increases accuracy to simulate recoil, or something dumb. I don't care what you're gonna do, because you want to feel the sound, you want to feel the vibration, you want to feel that recoil. And maybe that's just me, but do you think I'm right with that?
Yeah.
Do you think... Is there a cat purring on your lap?
There is, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Is it Charlie?
No, it's Lucy.
Oh. So, Alpha 4.1.1, there's still some sort of major blockers with that. I think that there's still problems with quantum traveling, and it doesn't align and spool properly. Obviously, that's a critical blocker. They need to... If they are going to be running a free fly for Fleet Week, they need it to be... Star Citizen to be the best it's ever been. And not have that's just true, right?
Yeah.
Like I know we laugh, I know we go because they often it will just all explode, and there's going to be problems. It's an alpha for a reason, but they need to get it into the best possible state. They want this one to be as mainstream as possible because they could make a ridiculous amount of money and make Star Citizen significantly more mainstream by actually going, look, we said it was the year of playability. We're 5 months in now, and this is proof of that. But whatever they show will be proof of something to a lot of people. And if it is not in a great state, people are going to be like, well, Star Citizen's still that broken game. Will it ever be finished? Do you think I'm right with that? Like, the most of the gaming community need to see tangible proof that Star Citizen is accessible to the masses.
Yeah, definitely.
I suppose the next question I've got for you, Sin, is do you think we'll see that this Fleet Week?
No, probably not.
I mean, I hope we do. I do think it's going to be the biggest and best Fleet Week ever. However, the caveat there is unless they break the game. But if Fleet Week is just some additional stuff in 4.1.1, and they would have hotfixed 4.1.1 and got a load of other fixes and stuff in by the time Fleet Week turns up, maybe it will be. We'll have to wait and see. I'm rooting for you, CIG. Please do good. The sneak peek. We saw a sneak peek in the newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
What's this?
It looks like a ship.
It does. Now, I don't know what's going on with this, because I don't think it's the Mantis, unless it's a weird angle of it. To me, it looks like, they were talking about a Kruger Intergalactic light fighter, like P-52, P-72, but light fighter. It looks more like that to me. We're expecting this is something they're going to release for Fleet Week. I'm also expecting this is the ship that they're going to be revealing this week as part of Behind the Ships. It might not be. Any idea?
No, mate, I ain't got a clue. I can't even work out what manufacturer it might be.
Yeah, it could be so many different things. Like I'll see something on the right side, shapeology wise. I'm like, well, actually, maybe it's Crusader, and
I don't think it's white enough to be Crusader.
It's got red and grey, whitey motifs going on. I just don't know. Tell us what you think in the comments below. I literally don't have an idea what this is. There's a load of other ships and vehicles that will be coming out during Fleet Week. Very excited for that. Not sure if anything's going to be released with 4.1.1 going live. They'll probably release some variant of something. They like to have a sale, even though they're going to have a big sale with Fleet Week. Idris hype. Do you believe the Idris hype? And what I mean by that, Sin, is a lot of people are saying it looks like the Idris could be released real soon, potentially with Fleet Week, because they found stuff in the files for it. People have been able to steal them and fly around with them, and they're pretty flyable.
Okay.
Do you think that's an indicator? Well, actually, they're going to make the Idris flyable for players and spawnable by players? Or do you think they'll probably keep it back for Squadron 42? It's probably not ready yet.
Well, it might be ready, but I think they should keep it back for Squadron 42.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because that's what they said they were going to do.
Yeah. Well, but what if they went, well, actually, because of the year of playability, we've been able to finish it earlier than we thought?
Don't care.
But you think they should actually hold it back? Okay. I mean, there's a lot of reasons to not release the Idris yet, and one of the major ones being multi-crew capital ship gameplay / engineering is not there yet.
Yeah.
You are losing a lot of the potential gameplay of flying a capital ship by not having engineering again. But interested to know what other people think on that, because there's a lot of people that think 100% they should release it, and they will release it. A lot of people are like, no, that's ridiculous. They said Squadron 42, that's when it's going to be released.
The thing is, I feel like the people who are saying like, oh, if they can release it, they should release it, are people who have Idrises. Well,
so I've only seen the Idris M be stealable and flyable. I don't think I've seen an Idris P. So, correct me if I'm wrong. That might just be a brain fart from me, but and pretty much no one, a fraction of players have an Idris M. Most players that have an Idris, like 98% of them, have Idris Ps. But people were saying that they in files and stuff, they saw mentions of the Idris K and all that sort of stuff, the laser pack for it. And we'll have to wait and see. Interested to know what other people think. Vanduul Translation. So, this was something Zin mentioned to me the other day.
Well, you retweeted it, and then I actually looked at your retweet.
Yeah. But you talked about people using AI for the Vanduul Translation, right? Some people were trying it out. Now, there was a competition to basically translate this Vanduul message in the Squadron 42 newsletter that they do every 2 months. And people basically made videos on the translation of it, and someone made a Vanduul dating simulator version of it, which I thought was very funny. Some other people did like a little news interview with interviewing a Vanduul with the sort of the translations. Maya, who's a good friend of the channel, and I absolutely love his stuff, and he's sort of I was going to say budding voice actor, but now I actually think he's a professional voice actor, I believe. Did some voice acting with the Vanduul as his sort of entry, and he's won. Really, really good job with that. I just thought it was interesting. Like, a lot of people just translated this using the Vanduul language guides and stuff like that, because I think it's Britton Watkins, who made Klingon, helped make the Vanduul language, so it is an actual language. How do you feel about people if they use AI for translations of this stuff? I suppose, how do you feel about people using AI translations for Vanduul in general? So
I don't care.
Yeah, do you think that's actually a good use of AI?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So I'm really bad with foreign languages.
Yeah.
So, yes, that's fine. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting people were using like the Grok or whatever to go translate this, and it's like, oh, that's interesting that there's enough information out there that can pull stuff. And how accurate were these AI translations of it?
I don't know. I don't know what the actual translation was. So
basically, it was just a set of lines from Vanduul saying like, I'm looking for my blade, and I fight because I'm Vanduul, and the darkness awaits. So just sort of like wild lines that Vanduul might say in combat. And I saw some of these people's sort of AI translation stuff, and some of them were actually relatively good. But I believe Maya's actual, I believe he translated it with the guide himself, potentially with other people. His was very accurate, apparently. But I think it's interesting. As long as you're not using AI to translate it for a competition. I suppose as long as it's not against the competition rules, it doesn't matter. But I think in the spirit of competitions and stuff, don't use AI translations for that sort of stuff. Try and do it yourself. But I'm not your dad. You can do what you want. Do you like the idea of like in the game there being Vanduul that's not translated that you have to translate yourself, or do you like, oh no?
God, no.
Just give me.
I said I'm really
subtitles.
bad with foreign languages. Don't make me translate anything.
But what if you don't need to translate it? What if it's sort of like its flavour, its lore in the background?
That's different.
Yeah.
That doesn't need translating.
Doesn't need translating. But do you think it's cool to have lore stuff like that in game that doesn't need translating, but it's cool if you do? Or would you still prefer, can you auto-translate this for me? Come on.
Well, it doesn't need to be auto-translated if it doesn't need to be auto-translated. If it is not like part of the game,
it's not
the
important.
Story, yeah. It's like just some Vanduul chatting in the background. Okay. I don't need that translated.
Okay, yeah. I mean, what are the just the random wild lines of, I met this beautiful fish the other day. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'd prefer stuff to be auto-translated for the most part. But yeah, if there's extra lore and extra cool little tablets and things you find, like something on stone etched, something cool, have it as a Vanduul language that you can translate yourself. Great.
So I would see it as a universal translator sort of thing. If we don't know the language, then it shouldn't translate it.
Okay.
Unless it's like that scene we saw for the Squadron 42 video.
Yeah.
Where like it's part of the story and you kind of need to know what they're saying. But if you were to actually just be playing the game and they're just shouting stuff at you, you shouldn't know what they're saying because you don't speak Vanduul.
But I suppose maybe there will be a communicator's suit of specialist armor where the helmet does auto-translate. If they're shouting.
But that's the thing is, currently the UAE do not know that much about the Vanduul language.
Do they not?
No.
Oh well, you're the lore person on the channel. I suppose that's why they needed some budding people to help crack the code. Okay, cool. I like this sort of stuff. Obviously, Zin and I play a lot of puzzle games and escape room games, and we're playing Blueprints and stuff like that at the moment. And translating stuff from Albed to English, but at several magnitudes harder in like Blueprints and stuff is it's a magnitude harder than Albed. But and it's still pretty easy in Blueprints, right? You just need to know it.
I mean, you can say that about anything.
That is true. But well, I think other languages don't stick in my head very well either. That's why I use AI. Anyway, boom! I'm interested to know what other people think, and if they're sort of excited for Alpha 4.1.1, what's your experiences of playing that now? Are you looking forward to Fleet Week? We are. It's going to be relatively big. We'll be relatively busy, and we'll be bringing you all of the Fleet Week stuff. We've got a load of ships to be giving away in May. There's other bits and bobs that are changing in May as well. We're going to be doing more regular sort of videos for Patreons and channel members. So use that join button if you want to get some of those. There'll be a mixture of some Star Citizen-y stuff, some other games, and me just talking about general life and board games and things like that as well. I'll try and get Zin on occasionally for them. So lots of stuff happening and going on. Really interested to know if you're excited for Fleet Week, if you believe the hype for the Idris. Zin!
Yes.
What are we giving away for this month of April?
We are giving away 3 Drake golems.
Yeah.
All with a game package and lifetime insurance.
That's correct.
And one of them was kindly given to us by CIG.
Well, they gave it to us. I'm not sure if it was kindly.
I think it was kindly.
It might have been kindly. We'll assume it was. Thanks, CIG. That's appreciated. Just comment on any of our videos made during April to be in for a chance of winning that. April 2025. Oh, I know some of you are going, I'm going to go back all the years in April and then demand entry. Well, you can't. It's 2025 April. Get wrecked. Zin.
Yes.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Perfect. See you later. Love you. Bye. Happy April.